And the story is still ongoing. Currently, Matt Max, the CEO of Bugatti, and Matt Armstrong and Alex Gonzalez are having, let's say, a dialogue, so to speak, on the internet about this specific Bugatti. This specific Bugatti has to be the most popular Bugatti in the world at this current moment in time, next to probably Andrew Tate's. But ever since Alex Gonzalez crashed his Bugatti, it has been a nightmare for three persons, and those persons' names I already mentioned.
Let's do a little bit of myth-busting today. There's been lots of talk online about Bugatti service, repair and maintenance costs recently online, and most of what you hear is simply not true. Yes, Bugattis are very expensive cars, but we really care about the running costs because we want these cars to be around in 50 years, 100 years like old Bugattis are today still. And in order to make people use those cars, it can't be crazy expensive to run them. Yes, the Veyron being unveiled over 20 years ago, and the first car to go over 400 kilometers per hour, had very special tires and wheels. That was a bit expensive, but technology has improved since then, and the Chiron has more normal tires and wheels. And actually, the Chiron comes with 4 years of included service and warranty. So on top of being, as you know, the most reliable hypercar, people really use their Bugattis and don't really have issues with them. So that's the most important first. But then also for 4 years, you have zero cost basically to own a Bugatti. It's serviced once per year, completely for free, and the service intervals are very far apart. They are 15,000 kilometers for Chiron, which is very, very reasonable for such a car. And then there's just so much information out there that's simply not true. All the prices you hear about Bugatti service and so on, it's rumors, it's not the truth. Just an example, there is online stories about Bugatti headlights being 150,000 per pair, but it's not the case. It's actually 25,000 per headlight, so 50,000 for the full front system. Yes, that's super expensive, but to develop a headlight for a car like this, which is on a very high level, it takes tens of millions of euros. And on the number of cars that you build, unfortunately, it's pure mathematics. It's not a car that's built in the millions. You can't 3D print those things. You know, I 3D print stuff for 15 years. We are pioneers in 3D printing, like the suspension arms and lots of stuff here in the car is 3D printed in different materials. You can't 3D print headlights or a gearbox housing if you replace. You could 3D print the gearbox housing if you do it like this, but like to print this part, we invested millions, and our supplier Divergent even much more. You can't just go ahead and, oh, I have a broken gearbox housing and now I just push a button somewhere and I 3D print that gearbox housing. It doesn't work like that. It's too simplistic. And I just want to show you, I mean, there has been, of course, the talk about one specific Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport recently online, and I get lots of messages from all of you about that. So I just want to tell you a few things. This is a very valuable asset, this car, right? A Chiron or a Tourbillon or whatever. And if something big happens, and that car was in a big accident, you don't see all the damage, unfortunately. Like there is the gearbox broke, the gearbox housing broke, and also there is structural damage on the monocoque from underneath that you don't see, not the front, but underneath. And if you want to repair that properly, you can't just do that in a garage. I'll just show you a simple example on an airbag. So this is the Tourbillon airbag. And this is how it should work in normal conditions on 23, like room temperature, 23 degrees. So the leather on top of the airbag has some weakening points, which you can't see from outside. That's quite important that you don't see it. So, and it needs to be like that also in all kinds of temperature conditions and over the long run of the car's life. But it also has to function at different temperatures. So look at what happened to us. So this is just a recent example from the Tourbillon, where at minus 20, the leather gets stiffer and it takes more force to break through the leather and it breaks the airbag. So we just yesterday, I mean, I'm just using this example because yesterday we were talking about this here, with all the resources, with tens of engineers that we are working on this, and with millions behind just development of these parts, we have these problems. So we have like 10 different things that we will change. The leather weakening was done with a knife tool. Now we will do it with a laser, and we'll use some different materials, and the hinge of the mechanism will be different, and the way we penetrate the leather will be different. So all of these things, to do this properly, to ensure safety in all conditions.
Matt Rimac has officially responded as to why he is not selling his parts to my Bugatti Chiron rebuild. Now, Matt Rimac, do not take this personal. This is simply my response to your safety arguments directly. First of all, I just want to let you know that I agree entirely with your statement that safety is the most important thing when driving such an expensive, luxurious, and powerful vehicle. When I got into this accident with the Bugatti Chiron, safety, the precautions that were made behind it, is what kept me safe. When I got into the accident, everything worked perfectly. The airbags, the seatbelt locking, everything was great. And thanks to those engineers and the safety precautions, I am here today to tell the story. So I entirely agree with you that safety is the most important thing. Now, I disagree with you, and I believe it's very disingenuous that you not selling us parts is actually a safety issue. I actually think is that it increases the safety issue with this vehicle. The reasoning behind it is because if you don't sell us parts to fix this car, we're going to find a third party, fourth party, fifth party solution to figure it out, because we will fix this vehicle. And if this vehicle was such an issue and it isn't safe to be on the road, when your technician came to Miami to inspect the vehicle for the insurance to see the length of the damages, to inform the insurance of it, they could have labeled this car certificate of destruction. But guess what? They didn't. This car is labeled a salvage title vehicle, meaning that it has the option to be repaired. So if there was a big safety issue, which is your whole argument here on why you're not selling us parts, your technician could have said that from the start. But that's not the case. This is more of a control standpoint that you want to control the situation. And I simply think that's just the wrong approach. We will find a third-party solution to every single part of this vehicle. And I know I've mentioned the 3D printing of some parts. And yes, we did say we will 3D print some parts. Some parts like in the front fender, some parts like this grille that you're seeing right here. Parts that aren't of importance or that can put us at risk. Like I mentioned, safety is very important to us. Parts like the airbags, well, we really don't need you to sell them to us anymore because we can get them from a fraction of the price. They're numbered parts that go directly to an Audi A3, go to the DBX11, and it's the exact same parts that were in the car. We're just going to buy them again, and we'll make sure that the upholstery is done well when we go to put this back together. And to the whole 3D printing of the car, it really started off as a troll, and I want to make this statement here directly to you, Matt Rimac. Because, when I bought the car, I posted it, I said, Bugatti has 24 hours to respond or I'm going to 3D print the parts. That was really a troll. I didn't really mean that. Obviously, it was, internet stuff, being 25 years old, just doing things to entertain people on the internet. And you responded. And you responded within that 24-hour time span. And I respect that. I admire that. I would never expect the CEO of such a high-valued company to be that active on social media and back their brand and respect it. So I admire you for that. The next day, we proceed to get on the phone, and when we get on the phone, you said, hey, man, you told me two things. One, hey, man, you have my word that we will figure out how we get parts to you so you can rebuild that car safely. And we'll figure out how we can also get a technician out there in person to make sure that the car is being done properly. We'll document everything as transparently as we can. From the start, you've always known that Matt Armstrong was going to work on this vehicle. And you gave me your word that one of those two things will happen one way or another. Fast forward 24 hours after our phone call, not sure what happened, but your word and what you agreed on simply just didn't happen. So I'm very big on my word. Not sure how big you are on yours. But with that being said, that led to me creating clickbait videos on the internet, just kind of raging. And again, it's not personal, it's just content. I respect your brand. I'm 25 years old. This is not my first Bugatti. This is my second Bugatti. And I plan to continue to extend my car collection as the years go on. And I plan to acquire more hypercars, more supercars, and this is something that is every any 20-year-old's dream, is to buy a supercar, hypercar, rebuild it, and document it for their kids to come and their journey. So you being a CEO of a billion-dollar company in your 30s, I admire you. I look up to what you're doing, but I simply disagree with your safety standpoint on why you can't sell us parts. We're both in the car industry. We will both be in the car industry for the next 10, 15, 20